I love the intro music.
All right.
It's so good.
Yeah.
I wonder who made it.
Yeah.
All right. Welcome back to the Daily Traders podcast. This is episode number 41. I'm your host, Mark. This is my co-host, Jack.
What's up, guys?
And we're back. So very fun episode, exciting episode today with a special guest, Mason Kuhr, who is actually, he went from living in his parents' basement to now owning a 6-figure a month supplement company. So we talk about his journey, his story.
In the span of like less than a year and a half.
Yeah.
Went from that.
Crazy come
Yeah.
up. And so this has got to be one of my favorite episodes. So definitely make sure to listen. We already we recorded it and we figured we'd record the outros after because we think it's a more natural way of starting these episodes, not, kind of going into that quick intro. It kind of throws off our guests. So we already recorded the episode. That's why we know it's good. So we hope you guys do enjoy.
Let's get right into
Let's
it.
hop in.
So you were a football player, you go to college, and you said you kind of had some type of identity crisis where what happened? You got an injury in football, you weren't playing football anymore.
Well, it was more like this. So the way I grew up, and I'm sure a lot of men, especially young men today, will identify with this, is, if you have a dad in your life who was, very workaholic or entrepreneurial, a lot of guys didn't have that. But for me, I had a dad who I was always rewarded with attention based off of my achievements.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So it's like my entire life, Mason was attached to football player, athlete, because that's where I got like the most happiness in my life. And that's a lot of kids get caught in that trap. We all kind of do. And so, that was me for like 19, 20 years.
Wow.
And then finally in college, and dude, I would have run around campus like it was so fake. Like I was just so fake looking back. And my entire life I was really like that and just kind of scared of who I was. And, just kind of the environment around me. Like when the financial stuff happened in 2008, my pops, who's a business owner, you could feel the tension that kind of like tapped me into like the energy and the stress of the business world. So I started getting like the money fears that we all have to overcome. So I was like, oh man, money means stress and like fears and all this stuff. And that's a whole different story. But basically like up to this point when I was like 19, 20, my entire life was this ego identified version of myself that wasn't real. And so finally, after my freshman year of college, like there was just the coach and we did not get along. It was a really toxic culture. Values sucked. And I just felt like a commodity there. So, luckily I went through that because it taught me what like a toxic culture is and how to not have that.
Yeah.
And create a new one. But it just in a day, it was just this thing where he's like, well, I'm not ever going to play you. And I'm like, well, okay, I'm not going to play for you. And so it was done. And in the moment I was like, oh, this is cool. Like, cause I really wasn't feeling it anymore.
Yeah.
Just because of that. But then at the same time, I was like, oh my God, my entire life is gone.
Yeah. So you lost that. And then what did you do? You went kind of down this dark path.
Dude, I went down the most belligerent, demonic path ever. Like I was partying so much. And I had never done it at that point. So, I mean, I would drink a handle a weekend. I would eat like a fool. I would just chase women. I mean, it was what you think of when you think of like a demon in a human form. So I was a psycho. I even got to the point where I was so deep into the drinking that I had used my drop shipping experience after like kind of getting that to pass the time. I made this print on demand brand called Down to Darty. And it was a party brand so that I could justify my own belligerence with a brand, so I didn't have to explain myself. And every time I drank, it was marketing.
Oh my God.
Did that work at all?
Right?
Did you make any sales?
Dude, at the time it did. And I didn't realize that till after the fact. What I was doing subconsciously was like trying to create this environment around me that represented who I saw myself as.
Wow.
Well, it's kind of like a Steve will do it type of move.
Yeah, obviously, we don't want our audience to do that. So, how did that change? What was the flip the switch moment for you there?
I just felt horrible. Like my testosterone got so low. There was a point where I was just having all types of mental issues, like just male issues and like in general, honestly. And I went to a doctor. I got my levels tested. They were like 300
Oh,
nanograms per deciliter, which is like bottom.
that's so low. Yeah.
It was so low. And so I had to really look at myself, because I thought it was something endocrine or something inside of me. And every doctor I went to was like, dude, there's nothing wrong with you. Like, it's all mental and
Wow.
probably lifestyle. And so it's like, all right, fine. Like, if I can't go to a doctor and they can't give me a solution, I'll just look at myself. And so I started making the lifestyle changes. I cut out all the seed oils, the processed foods, all the synthetic stuff, started working out more, getting more sunlight, stopped chasing the pleasure, the quick dopamine releases. And more than anything, I just started to speak my truth, and really what happened is that did raise my testosterone levels back up. But what I learned from that is testosterone, being a social hormone, it is in direct correlation to our level of perceived freedom. And
Yeah.
so a lot of guys walk around today in this jail cell of their mind, scared, fearful, all these things. And when you give into that, you're telling yourself you're not the person that you can be, and your hormones will reflect that. And I can
Wow.
go into the spiritual stuff all day. But basically, like, reality is just a manifestation of different planes. It's just like, you got ice, water, and gas. Like, they all kind of manifest together. And so what our spirit believes, our mind is going to act out and our body's going to act out. And so it's like inside, I felt like a slave to myself. And so it was manifesting as this low testosterone, depression, anxiety, all these behaviors that just destroyed me as a person. And so first of all, surrendering to the fact that that was true and accepting it is what allows us to move forward. So for anyone watching this, if you're in that position right now, you need to first just accept your situation, because it's like trying to run from your shadow, right? Like, if you're out in the daylight, that shadow is always going to be there. You just have to accept it's going to be behind you, but just keep choosing to move forward. It's that simple, right? Don't try and get rid of it. Just accept it and move.
Yeah,
like it.
that's a good point. So obviously you've come a long way. Now you're managing a 106-figure a month business. I'm sure you'll be doing a lot better. I'm sure you have some big plans in 2023. So now you kind of like, you make this lifestyle change. You really find more of a purpose, and you kind of experiment with entrepreneurial stuff like the drop shipping. But then you graduate college, and then it's kind of like, oh shit, now what? Like your degree wasn't really helping you with anything. You didn't like want to work for someone, so you moved in to your parents' basement, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's when I learned school was just a ripoff. I was sitting in class when I'd gotten my like third drop shipping store set up, which actually like started getting some sales. And I was sitting there and one day making more than my college professor. And I was like, why are they teaching me how to make money when I make more than them? It doesn't make any sense to me. And so
Yeah.
it was this joke marketing class. And yeah, I didn't really learn any much from that at all, other than things I did outside of the class and building. But eventually, yeah, like I said, I got banned off of Facebook ads, which was a whole stupid thing. But yeah, moved back home with my parents after graduating, after starting to build the TikTok, seeing momentum there, started getting some coaching clients.
How did
And
you
I
get
was
into
like,
TikTok? Were you just kind of like, oh, I should try TikTok, or did someone come up to you and be like, bro, like TikTok, where it's at? How did that happen?
so I had this massive fear of public speaking and exposure. And so in college, I did take this acting class to get over that fear. And
Yeah.
so I hated it at first, but eventually I got to the point I loved it, and I started to break out of it, and I felt like more free in myself. And I just really transferred that over to TikTok after that person came up to me in the gym, because the thought of it scared me. And I was like, I don't want to expose myself like that. But like anything, the things that scare us normally have what we want on the other side of it. So just dove into that, started building the muscle. I was so bad on camera at the beginning.
Yeah.
I was horrible. Probably one of the worst you've ever seen. But yeah, I just started building that up like a muscle, started getting a following. And then finally I started just talking about things that I wanted to talk about, not chasing the trends, just being real, sharing my knowledge, my values, all that stuff. And that's when I got my first, video with some decent views. And then I found that was the formula, being real and authentic. And
Mhm.
so since the beginning, I was like, let's just make this brand off of being authentic
Yeah.
and being real. There is no brand to it. It's just me being me.
Yeah, how'd you make the brand? Because I think a lot of people maybe watching this are like, okay, I want to start a supplement brand, but obviously making like a a food or a supplement that's legal to sell. Like, walk us through the process of that, because for a
Yeah.
lot of people that just seems like, okay, where do we even start if I want to make a supplement brand?
Yeah. So at first, for me, it was just like a lot of people start with the product. And for me, it started more with the why and the message and all that stuff, because I wanted mine to actually have some depth to it and
Yeah.
stand for something. And that's what a real brand is. So it's like I want to create a movement.
Mhm.
So I always had this affinity to, like, I took horseback riding in college. My nickname when I was a kid was like the Mustang. And so I was just sitting there just kind of like thinking of some logos. So it's like, let's do a horse. And I was like meditating on some names. And I was like, well, a stampede has a bunch of horses running together. And so that's kind of like a movement. So let's do that and we'll make it a network where
Yeah.
people can come together and do self improvement together, because I didn't have that. So it's like we can make self improvement something people do together.
Oh, that's cool.
And so, yeah, the name was just kind of born. And then at that point, at the beginning, it was me selling programs. I had nutrition guides, fitness programs, some hoodies,
Yep.
which are called the Assassin hoodies. They're still on site, but those were pretty cool. They come with a program that's tied to like the Spartan's journey of becoming a Spartan. So basically, you go through this,
Oh, that's
and
neat.
That's cool.
yeah, it's like a reward to it. But I wasn't getting sales.
So
Yeah.
where were you marketing this through? Was this all just from your TikTok following?
All TikTok.
And at the beginning you weren't really converting at all, and you were just living in your parents' basement. You're kind of like, fuck.
I was getting no sales, staring at the same screen for months, losing my mind. Same corner of my basement room, right? And just not getting sales at all. So like I got sick 3 times just from all the stress of getting mad at myself.
Yeah.
Uh,
So how'd you start to make sales? What changed?
So it's crazy. So I was sitting there one night, it's like 7 months into this thing, and I'm like about to break down and just give up finally, because and there were so many times I wanted to quit, and I'm just sitting there like losing my shit. And my dad comes down. He's like, "What's up?" And I was like, "I'm a loser. I'm a failure. No one wants to buy any of my things. I have no idea why." He's like, "Well, I mean, are you selling them what they want to buy?" And so that was the moment that I had that thing click in my brain,
Mhm.
and I knew what it meant, and I didn't want to accept it. And I knew it the entire time too. And that was that I'm a fitness influencer at the time.
Yeah.
So I need to sell supplements.
Yeah.
And
Huh.
I didn't want to be the supplement guy, because it was like this new label I didn't want to take on.
Or was it also that you like believed so strongly in the product you had that you just didn't want to quit? You wanted it to work so bad that like transitioning to selling supplements, you just couldn't do it.
It was I mean, there was obviously like this fear of failure, but at the same time, I just really didn't want to be, I thought there was some negative stigma to this.
Okay.
At the same time, it was hard for me to accept this new identity, because I'd known what it was like to lose an identity.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking about loss instead of gain. After realizing, like, well, one, I have like $1,000 left in my bank account. I have nothing. I'm living in my parents' basement. So I might as well do something. So
how'd you get how did you white label a supplement brand?
yes, that's where I'm getting to. So basically, I knew that it came down to virality for me. And I was like, well, I need something weird. I need something weird, and I need something holistic, because that's what I believe in. So I did some research. I found this product called Bee Bread, which is over in Europe. We bring it over here now. It's our Spartan Bee Bread. That's our premier product. But basically, I found a supplier. We had a white label model going on. Ended up set up like a drop shipping type of relationship. So it was like print on demand.
Yeah.
And I got it shipped over, tested it out for a couple weeks. I was like, I love this stuff. And, basically had the whole site rebranded and built up in that time.
Mhm.
And so I'm sitting there, everything's ready to go, everything's ready to sell. But I didn't want to do it. Like, I was just refusing to accept that it was there. This thing's sitting by my bed, just staring at me, just this product. I'm just like, oh my God, it's like looking at a monster under the bed.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to do it. And so those days just kept rolling by, and my bank account kept getting lower and lower. And so I was like, well, I need to do something. So with this product sitting next to me, there's finally one night I was watching TikTok, right? And this was December 4th. I still remember the day. I'm watching TikTok, and this David Meltzer video comes up. And he's talking about how he gave so much as a kid. He's talking with his mom. He's like, Mom, I give so much, but I never receive anything. Why is that? And she says, well, David, you have to be open to receiving. Tell God that you're open to receiving. And so before this, I had never like spoke to the universe, the creator. And I decided that night, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. And so I said, God, as I'm laying in bed, I put my phone down. I said, God, I am open to receiving abundance. I am going to fulfill whatever purpose is here for me. I surrender to you. Just give me a sign because I'm losing my mind, something. And so that was just like a freeing moment for me.
Wow.
I didn't think much about it, but put my phone away, go to sleep, and I wake up the next morning and I get this just intuitive urge, this like, go in the bathroom and film a video of you holding this product. It's just like this thought. And I was like, well, I have like $500 in my bank account. So I was like, well, what do I have to lose, honestly? And so I go in the bathroom in my underwear with the hoodie on. And I have this Spartan Bee bread out. And it was posted on Twitter. You can probably find it. But I basically pull out my phone. I talk directly to my audience, exactly using all the terminology they use, Greek god, Spartan, aesthetic, like all this stuff. It was a masterful hook. And I wasn't thinking about it. I was just being real.
Uh-huh.
And so I'm just talking about it. Make this 1 minute video and I post it. Dude. And so I put my phone down. I just like throw it on my bed. Because I was like, I can't believe I just did that. Now I'm a supplement person and my whole audience does it. And so I put that over on my bed, and 5 minutes later, as I'm sitting on the couch in my room just kind of contemplating it, I hear a ding. And it's that Shopify ding. And so I get up and I'm like, I haven't heard that in like years. I've heard since the drop shipping days. And so I go over and I look at it and I was confused, right? Because I thought when I put this product up on the site, I had a pre-order up, but I was an idiot and I just opened it up, right? So there's no pre-order. It's just open on the site. So I look at it. I'm like, yo, someone bought the bee bread? I was like, this has got to be an accident. And so I put my phone back down. I go sit back down, just kind of like, what's going on? I was thinking about this, confused. 5 minutes later, ding. You got another ding. I get up, I look at my phone. What? 2 bee breads? I put this thing down. And to me at the time, dude, I felt like a millionaire. I'm sitting there like, what is going on? Like, I'm getting rich.
All right, so we wanted to take a second to thank this week's sponsor, thedailytraders.com. Now, if you guys are interested in learning how to trade in the stock market, I'm actually going to be giving you access to copy my exact trades, as well as 30 plus videos breaking down my entire trading system. So I will put a link in the description below to my mentorship group. If you guys are interested, I'll have a discount code there, which will hopefully help you out. So go ahead, check that out, see if it's something you're interested in. And with that said, let's continue.
So I put this thing down. 5 minutes later, there's 2 dings, like ding, ding, back to back.
Back to back.
2 days, damn.
Wow. So the video was just blowing up.
So then how many sales you make that day?
Listen to this. So I put it back down. I'm like, okay, listen. That was the 3rd time the charm. There's no way this is real. There's no way. Like, if it happens after this, it's real.
Yeah.
And so I put this phone back down, and I'm not even kidding you. 2 minutes after that, it was just like a machine gun. It was rolling and it was
Wow.
rolling and I'm like, what is going on? And so I look at my video in a period of 15 minutes when I get on TikTok, it was already at like 100,000 views.
Oh my God.
It was the craziest virality I've ever seen in my life. It was wild.
That
I didn't-
dopamine level, like I've experienced that before, like waking up, seeing a video at like 500,000, a million views, and it's this crazy feeling. And especially when that converts over into like a monetary thing, it's not just like numbers on a screen, like views, it's actually money going into your bank account. It's just wild.
For sure, dude. And you can't even wrap your brain around it. Like I was sitting here watching this, like this is made up. This doesn't exist.
So how
And
much did you end up doing that day?
dude, so I had to cut it off at 30 grand.
You cut it off? Why?
Because here was the issue. As soon as those started rolling in, and I was like this whole time, I was freaking out in my basement. I was having the time of my life. I was making videos like thanking my audience, like you guys have changed my life. I'm serious. And so
Yeah.
I get a call from my white label company I was working with, and they're like, "Is this you made like some video that popped off?" I was like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Well, we have an issue." I was like, "What? What's the issue? How could anything ruin this?"
Yeah. Oh my God.
They're like, "Well, we only have 50 units in stock." And I'm like,
Oh.
"I have 1,000 orders."
Oh my God.
I'm like, "What am I going to do?" And so I'm sitting here just thinking like, well, I can let this thing roll and it would easily hit 100, 150 grand in a day.
Yeah.
The velocity it had, the momentum of sales,
Yeah. It's unreal.
it would have easily done it. And so I was like, I can do that and I'll never fulfill them, or I can just shut off the site and put up some like, notify me when it's back in stock thing, because I didn't think of that beforehand, of course. But I was like, I can stop it and do like a notify me thing on the site and hit them up when I fulfill. And so I decided I'm gonna cut it off, pull the plug, and do the notify me thing. Ended up having like 1,100 orders that day.
Wow.
It took about a month and a half to fulfill everything, replenish the whole inventory, all that stuff. Dude, that video, I can't believe it.
How many views did that hit?
It's at like 8 million.
Wow.
What?
I would have been a millionaire off of one video.
Oh my God.
So what should the audience learn from this story?
That's the funny thing. I wish I could give a tactic to it, but it comes down to this one fundamental thing that when you feel like you're about to just give up everything, you just got to keep going, because the breakdown is what leads to the breakthrough. And so there wasn't some tactic to it other than just being real and keeping going and just keep going. Like my video had a great hook for sure. I talked to my audience, all that stuff. But at the time I wasn't even thinking about how to make a good hook.
Yeah.
I was just thinking and just being authentic. Like I'd show anyone else something. Those things we're scared to do, those things the next move that we're scared to make, it doesn't matter what stage of business you're in. You just got to make it, because that's what you're destined to make. Like if you have massive resistance to it, you've got to bust through it, because on the other side, something is going to happen that's going to break through. And for me, this brand it means so much to me, because it literally was like a gift of redemption from God to me. And so it's for God. Like I was not a very spiritual person for a long time when I was in that pleasure seeking phase, but this was like my testimony, and it's really what has like freed me from everything.
Yeah, that one day.
One single day.
That's wild.
The most minimal amount of effort.
So now
Let's
that
fast forward a bit.
Yeah, the day happened, your mind must have been racing. You're like, oh shit, I'm gonna be a millionaire. This is traction. I want to grow this brand. You were ambitious. What were your next steps now to like making this like an actual company and bringing it to the 6-figure a month business it is now?
Keeping that momentum going.
Yeah. So that month of fulfillment really took a toll on me mentally, because I was just like getting death threats basically from the customers. They're like, "Where's my Where's my order?" I'm like, "Trust me, like we're working on it. Like I promise you, no one else is selling anything. We're getting it out." I sent out probably like 6 emails saying like, "We have to push this back. We have to push this back. I'm sorry." Like I sent a picture of me like smiling, be like, "I'm holding back tears." Like I was just trying to be real. And, dude, it sucked, but it was a champagne problem at the end of the day. But basically, like I kind of lost momentum after fulfilling those orders, and I low key was like scared to even look at my emails anymore because I'd been so used to looking at all this stuff. So I wanted to separate from the work, and so when we got inventory back in stock finally, I opened the store back up. I notified the email list.
Yep.
And, started getting sales, just continued to do that.
Okay.
And so at the time, I was like, well, now I need to get the momentum back on the video. My first thought, being someone who is like completely newbie, idiot entrepreneur, I was like, well, I do have some Facebook ad experience. So maybe like TikTok ads is like it. And so I got this TikTok ad account open and I decided to Spark ad that video because I was like, well, obviously the video converts.
What's Spark ad?
Yeah.
What is Spark ads?
Spark ads is where you basically take an organic video and then you just start putting ad spend behind it.
Oh, okay.
And so it's like you risk nothing if it's a high converting video organically, right? Because it's like it's already proven to convert at a high level. So you bump it, it's going to keep going.
Sure.
And so I had the worst. I didn't even have a targeting strategy. I just put this thing on broad and I was doing like $3K a day.
In spend?
In revenue.
In revenue?
Well, I got to a point where it was like, yeah, that was the spend. It was crazy.
So
what was the profit margins on that 3K day revenue?
After ad spend, it was about 30%.
Okay,
that's pretty good.
So you're bringing home around $900.
Yeah, it was about 30 to 40. I mean, some points the ROAS were getting up to like 6 and 7. It was wild. Wow. It was just absolutely insane, but I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know how to analyze data. I didn't know any of that stuff.
That video, though, you definitely kind of used up that audience or that video, and then you had to go create something else. You had to do that again. So what did you do?
Well, I ran that video for 3 months.
Yeah, and then it kind of dried up.
Yeah, for 3 months on ad spend, but it's like I was making a lot of sales with it. That one day I made 30 grand. The next month I made like 40 after putting ad spend behind it.
Wow.
And then it started to slowly go down and I'm watching this thing and I'm like, oh, man, I know what's going to happen. It's like, it's going to run out of momentum. And so at the time I also was like not good at the ad side of things.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked God again, I was like, give me some guidance, man. And he sent my current partners hit me up out of nowhere. And so we ended up like really liking the vibe, worked together. They took over like the ad spend side of things. I took over the creative.
Wait, who's your current partner now hit you up?
So I have 2 current partners. So
in the business,
Nolan Call and Sean Morrissey. You can find them on Twitter.
Okay. So how did you go about getting this reconnection? So did you know them through college or like social media?
Hit me up out of nowhere. Seriously.
Literally just out of nowhere. Say, hey, I want to join your brand.
Out of nowhere. They're like, yeah, we like the product, all that stuff. We can do some work. So we ended up doing some work. And it was, again, timing. So my whole life, dude, everything it's always just come down to like, when I ask, it appears. Right. That's how all my successes have been. Yeah. They just came on, they took over that side of things. I started making some more content, learning how to automate processes and systems. So more than anything, they really took over all my marketing for the beginning because I had no idea what I was doing. Yeah. So they helped us optimize the whole site, get the whole funnel going on, took over the ads. We expanded omni-channel. And then really just got to a point that once we started understanding the systems, I started to, dive into it myself. And just understanding conversion, funnels, all that stuff, optimizing the back end. And we got this system where basically I had taken, because I realized like I had this personal brand. I didn't want to sell this product to my audience every video.
Yeah.
And I did need to keep it going.
Sure.
And so I was like, okay, I'm going to make a separate brand page. And I'm going to push people over there. I'm going to use that page solely for pushing the product. And so that's what I did. We ended up using all those videos, spark adding them. The exact same strategy I used with the first video. Go organic. If it performed organic, we'd pump ads behind it. And then we'd do TickMate and we'd put it on every single channel. So Facebook, Instagram, you name it. I was also running the email side of things at the time. I wasn't very consistent with it. And so, eventually it was just like a year of that system and just constantly refining it, doing the same thing over and over, getting better at it.
So where were you at revenue-wise by the end of the year?
By the end of 2022, December was the first month that we cracked 100K.
Wow.
So, just kept scaling up consistently. And it's like, for all the entrepreneurs listening that are new, like don't think that you have to keep adding things. Just keep getting better and master what the basics are, the fundamentals. Like what are the movers for you and what are you really good at? For me, it was creating the systems, leading the team, providing direction, content, branding, anything communication. So like video, the copywriting, all that stuff. Like those are my skills. And so it's like when you build a team, which you're going to have to do eventually if you want it to get big, everyone needs to understand their role and everyone needs to just double down and focus on what they're doing. Obviously mastermind, give tips, but it's like just focus, stay on your lane and know your assignment and be the best at that assignment you can possibly be. Just like football. I learned that from football.
100%.
Right? So I was like, I was a running back. Now I'm the quarterback. So I got to learn how to play quarterback.
I like that. I kind of want to take it back for a second to where your dad said like, hey, why not make stuff that people want to buy? Right. Yeah. And I think that kind of goes hand in hand with content. Why not make content that people actually want to watch or enjoy and engage with? Because that's what's going to make it do well in the algorithm. It needs engagement and real engagement. Do you have any sort of thoughts on that as like a lot of what we feel, a lot of things, this is a trading podcast, but we've really been trying to have entrepreneurs like yourself on because it kind of goes hand in hand. A lot of these things you're saying you can apply to trading and back and forth. So do you have any thoughts there?
100%. Yeah. With like content and stuff, it's a fine line between what do people want and what do you want to talk about?
Yeah.
And so you just need to keep testing and find that mix. Like at the beginning, the reality of it is when you're small, you need to do more virality type stuff and just kind of piggyback off the trends and ride the wave. But once you get to some point of momentum, start putting your opinions out there, start sharing yourself, and then just it's really just try new things until you can look back and say, okay, here's what I enjoy doing. Here's what was getting the most views. Let's combine those together. And let's just keep doubling down on that and trying different variants of that message, more importantly, not the content style, because you can lock yourself in and get burnt out, which I learned that the hard way. But find what works, find what people want to hear, and find what you want to talk about and just put it into one. And when it comes to your niche is your perspective on the world, right? And so it's like everyone says niche down, but it's like, you can't get more niche than just how you view reality, right? You're one of one, and that takes away all competition. And so that's really how you build that personal brand, is like share how you see the world. A lot of my content, you notice, comes from like that spiritual point of view, because that's how I actually see the world. Yeah. And so, that's what people who see the world in a similar way, they relate to it. And that's how you create a following who actually likes your message. Another way you can do it to provide what people want is realize that there's always been someone who's a step behind you, right? So like for me, I was talking to myself 5 years ago. So get clear on your audience, define who they are, like what their problems are that they're going through, their struggles. Just create this avatar and get in their mind. And so when you talk to the camera, present your message, you can talk directly to an audience member who resonates with this. And so for me, it was like these dudes who are young entrepreneurs. They're trying to find themselves spiritually, mentally, physically. They're going down the self-improvement journey, and they just want to set themselves up so they can experience a life of freedom and abundance. Yeah. And so my message was tailored to that. And that's how you start magnetizing those people who resonate with you, and they really get what you're saying. But yeah, it's this fine line where it's like, if you just give people what they want all the time, you're going to lose yourself in the process. And I've done that too. And it's going to take a toll on you mentally, because you feel like you just lose the parts of it that you actually like.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, that's what got you there in the first place. You'll notice like all the content that you share or make that really blows up has a lot of your energy behind it. And that's, people don't talk about that enough. Is like, we can talk about tactics and all types of things all day, but it really comes down to the energy.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, people are just magnetized to energy. That's it. And so if you have the energy and the passion behind it and actually like to talk about it, people will like to talk about it, because the world reflects us, plain and simple. And that's a universal law. But basically, yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
Thank
I love
Mason.
it. All right, so you've obviously came a long way as an entrepreneur, from going from your parents' basement to scaling to a 6-figure a month business. What are your plans now? I mean, I imagine you have some big ambitions for the future, whether it's 7 figures a month. Tell us about those. And also, how do you plan to get somewhere that seems pretty impossible for a lot of people?
100%. Yeah. So overarching goal with the supplement side of things, I want to turn it into a 9-figure brand. And so that's going to happen, but that's going to take a lot of movement, a lot of patience.
I like that. That's going to happen. You said it.
100%. And I also want to have because the brand itself is, again, it's a movement. So it's very people focused. I want to have some holistic wellness retreat type of things, live events, all this stuff where I really designed it to be a self-improvement network. So I want, that people aspect to it too. But with the supplements and the actual product side, right now we're making a move onto Amazon as well. So that's where we're launching our new pre-workout. This thing's going to disrupt the space. 100% natural, holistic, clean, all types of ingredients that have just been never used in a product like this. So yeah, just doubling down on multi-platform. So you got Shopify, got Amazon, just continue to scale that up, bring new products, just keep improving and refining the systems we have.
Yeah.
Automate more of the content, because at the end of the day, it's going to come down to again, attention and views and the content. So really turning the company into this media company. And so that's what I've hired this new editing team on to help me do that. So I can, get it more, personal brand focused too, and cash in on this creator economy. We got Mr. Beast and Kylie Jenner and all these people. So it's entrepreneurs out there, you double down on the personal brand side of things, because that's where it's going.
I like
right?
it.
Yeah, I have a question. So I think what we've noticed, or what I've noticed as far as personal brands, is that you can only take a personal brand so far. I guess you could, talk about Kylie Jenner and Kim Kardashian and Mr. Beast, who have created these 9-figure. I mean, even Mr. Beast now is a billion-dollar brand or multi-billion-dollar brand. So personal brands now, it seems like, do have the potential to reach this certain level. But as far as scaling, to a 9-figure company, how do you plan to exit that? Is it still, because you can't sell? Can you sell a 9-figure personal brand?
Well, I designed the Stampede Network to be separate from me, but attached to me.
Okay.
So it has its own standing. It can do its own thing. But that's why building your personal brand is so important, because me being a face, a transparent founder that actually helps people, not only do you get the revenue of your customers who just come to the brand, but my followers just want to support me. So they go over there too. And so you get these two streams. And at the end of the day, it's your company as a business owner is a reflection of you anyway. And so in terms of the personal brand side of things, there is no ending point to it. Your potential is as much as you work on yourself. So it's that's why you always need to keep self-improvement in mind. Don't get caught up so much in the external all the time. You need to focus on you and your growth, because again, it's your income goes up as you get more skills and more knowledge and more understanding. And it all comes back to that at the end of the day. But yeah, building the brand up, it's going to be automating systems, increasing the content, getting to a point where obviously you can only do so much with products, So probably going to get into like the acquisitions side of things,
Mhm.
start acquiring, and then, you can start getting those big multiples once you just get a giant cash cow. And so I think that's how we're going to hit the 9-figure mark. Obviously, I don't know yet. Like I'm learning too in the process because I haven't done it. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, you learn as you go, and it's like just keep your eye on the target. And
On
the
the
way the
prize.
universe works is it's just going to align you to that goal if you're focused on it.
Nice. I love
So,
that. All right.
like
Well,
it.
unfortunately, we're coming up on our time limit here. I wish we could keep this rolling. But for the viewers, you said you read a lot in college. What are 3 books that you think helped you out a lot and recommend to people?
I'm assuming, do you have a big male audience?
Yeah.
Yes.
Our demographics mostly like 18 to 22-year-old males.
Yeah, so Way of the Superior Man is by far like the best book I've ever read by David Data. Probably read it 30 times. It's about understanding masculine polarity, energy, all that stuff. You must read it as a guy. Second is Power of Now. So teach you the art of presence. The Warrior's Meditation. It's an active meditation method used by the samurais in ancient Japan. So it's going to help you a lot in business. Obviously, $100 million offers. Alex Hormozy, amazing book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just read that. I love that book.
Let's see. The Kabbalion will teach you about universal laws, principles that you can use to improve yourself and improve your business. And then, of course, the Bible, because this has the keys to abundance in it. You learn how to lead like Jesus. You can learn how to make money like King Solomon. So,
Cool.
man.
All right, guys. Well,
On
all
that note,
those
thank you,
yeah.
Mason. We'll
Yeah.
link the books in the description
on the website. Yes.
on the website.
Oh, the full
Our new
show notes.
website.
Yes,
Let's,
the full show notes. I try to say this every episode. You cut
say
me
it.
off. We're hitting the character limit on platforms. So when books are mentioned, some links I can't completely fit on podcast platforms. So they are found at thedailychairspodcast.com, which you can sign up for an email list that I'm working on as well to never miss an episode.
Sweet.
Awesome. Good
All
job,
right.
media.
Thank you, Mason. We appreciate you coming on. Hope you guys did enjoy, and we'll see you in the next one.
Later.
Later.
Nice.
Peace.